Welcome to Business Legal Life. Welcome to Business Legal Lifecycle TV, the live TV show all about the legal aspects of your business. We've designed this TV show to educate you in simple to understand plain English ways for complex legal terms, to help you understand why you undertake certain legal aspects of your business, and to help you develop a plan for the future success of your business. Did you know that any business owner is on average 7 months away from losing everything? And that is the average time that it takes for a successful business to fold when an aspect of their business is not set up correctly. Have you ever wanted to get legal advice but didn't understand what was going on? And do you feel like there's a divide between lawyers and their clients? If that's so, then this TV show is for you. We've designed the show to empower you and your business with the knowledge and tools to help ensure that those problems that so many businesses encounter don't happen to you. Business Legal Lifecycle TV delivers a twice-weekly show focusing on the legal aspects of your business. At lunchtime on Mondays, we present Fast Fix Monday, a quick 5 to 10 minute show to give you some actionable steps to consider for this week in your business. And at lunchtime on Wednesdays, we present our in-depth show. It's generally between 30 minutes to an hour to go through the complicated legal aspects of your business in a simple to understand and plain English way. That can be through educational pieces or interviews with experts in the fields. We welcome you to Business Legal Lifecycle TV, and here's our show.
Welcome everyone to Fast Fix Monday. I'm Jeremy Stretton, and today we're talking about what to look out for when you're buying a business. So with me today is Craig Mason.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us.
And yeah, today basically what we're going to go through is a checklist that we've developed for what to do when you're buying a business. So we'll put this in the show notes, but if you're looking for a checklist, if you go to businesslegallifecycle.com.au and type in buying-business-checklist, you'll get a copy of our checklist, which we'll go through briefly now. So Craig, do you want to start off with pre-contract considerations?
Yeah, definitely. So these are the sorts of considerations that you should have before you sign the contract, obviously. So that's why it's pre-contract. Some of them might seem a little bit obvious, but these are the sorts of things that we've seen people miss. And if you tick off on your checklist that you've done these sorts of things, even if they are obvious, then you hopefully won't have any issues. So the first sort of thing you need to think about is what entity it is that's going to purchase the business through. So pretty important consideration, something that might seem simple, but you get that wrong at the beginning and you've got all sorts of problems that you have to deal with. So have a meeting with your lawyer, have a meeting with your accountant, any other advisors that you think are relevant there as well, so everyone's on the same page. And then you want to, so you've got your entity. Then you want to think about some conditions that are going to go into the contract. And one of the big ones is due diligence, which Jeremy's going to talk about next. But you want to make sure the contract's actually subject to it. There's no point talking about due diligence if it's not going to be subject to it. So make sure that you've spoken to your lawyer and that a due diligence clause is appropriate. And you want to put it in there, the date that needs to be done by, and then you can go from there in terms of your particular inquiries. And the other thing is finance. So how are you going to actually fund this? Do you need it to make it subject to finance? Obviously, you don't want an unconditional contract if you don't have the finance organised. So again, talk to your lawyer, talk to your accountant to make sure that if it is relevant that you're going to put a finance clause in there. There's a few other things as well about restraint of trade to make sure that what you're buying, the seller can't, set up a business next door and take all your clients that you're buying, all those sorts of things. So make sure that you, if that's going to be relevant, that you put those clauses in the agreement as well. And as part of the checklist, we've got in there, the dates of these sorts of things to keep track of. Your lawyer and your accountant will help you out on that. But make sure you're keeping track of your dates to make sure you're doing everything within time. So they're the sorts of pre-contract considerations that we say that you should have. There are some specific businesses that might have different things. Again, talk to your accountant, lawyer about clauses they might recommend for a specific type of business that might be relevant other than the normal due diligence, finance, restraint of trade type clauses. So that's pre-contract. Jeremy, do you have anything you wanted to add there?
Not there. I think you covered it well. So due diligence inquiries is the second category. And when you have a look at the checklist, you'll see that we've got a bunch of different things that are in there. So as Craig mentioned before, you have different reasons that you might, or different businesses might require different analysis. And you really need to determine what needs to be done for your business to make sure that you can actually get what you want done. So looking at things like the financial records, the accounts receivable, the sales records, marketing information, things like profits as well, what warranties the business is given, the industry and analysis of where it's going in their industry. You also need to have a look about the seller and what the seller's done in their business. And a bunch of other things too about the lease and the staff, assets and equipment, stock and expenses. You need to have a look at all those things because they're really important for making sure that you're getting what you're paying for. And that's what the due diligence is all about, making sure that you get what you pay for. So have a look at our list. As Craig said before, you need to sit down with your accountant, your lawyer and your other advisors and make sure that what you're actually think you're getting is what you're getting, and make sure that you do the checks to make sure that everything's in place. So Craig, anything else you wanted to add in there on due diligence?
No, I don't think so. I think that covers it. Obviously, it's pretty important. You want to make sure you do your diligence inquiries before you buy something because you don't know what you might be getting. So going on next in the checklist, we've got a section about what you will have to pay. And obviously, it's important to keep track of what it is that you're paying so you can do your budgets. The purpose of that section of the checklist is to give you an estimate of the money that you're going to need pay for the transaction. So obviously the big one is purchase price. You need to know when that's going to be paid, so you can keep track of that. Same with the deposit. So there might be a deposit that's payable, and that's obviously going to be earlier than the actual contract date. So the settlement date, sorry. So make sure you've got that available. And there are going to be some government things that might need to be paid, transfer duty and those sorts of things. You need a budget that you're going to have to pay for those. Depending on the business, there might be stock value that needs to be taken into account as well. Or again, depending on the business, there might be work in progress if it's a service type business. So you need to take that into account. There are going to be lawyer fees. Obviously, when you're talking to a lawyer, there are going to be fees associated with it. Same with an accountant. So this is your team of consultants that you've got together, and they're going to charge fees for their services. So take that into account. And there might be some other consultant fees as well that you might need to pay. But the whole purpose of this checklist and when you're going to buy a business is to make sure you're aware of all the sorts of fees so you can budget accordingly. So again, depending on the type of business, there might be some other fees associated with that. But the time to go through all that and work it all out is now before you actually settle on the transaction. So you've got a budget in place. So that's the section about what will I have to pay, Jeremy. Moving on from there.
Yeah, so the last section that we're going to talk about is lease consideration. So if you're buying a business, most of the time you're probably going to be entering into some sort of lease for those premises. And you really need to think about all of the terms of the lease, going on from what Craig said about what you need to pay, things like what deposit is required, what bond or bank guarantees is there, what type of lease is it, what incentives do you get, the length of the lease, what's it going to cost you as opposed to what you get. So if you go back, and for anyone who's interested, you can go back to show 5, which was on leasing and insurance. That was in August 2017 when we were talking about phase 2 startup. And really that's a really good show that we go through all these considerations, but also have a look at the checklist that I mentioned before, because you need to make sure that what you're leasing is actually what you think you're going to get and that you can actually afford it. So I think, Craig, that's probably enough for our Fast Fix Monday. Did you want to finish off?
Yeah, absolutely. As we said, thanks for joining us today. If you've got any questions, please email or comment on Facebook or wherever it might be that you're accessing this episode from. And also, as Jeremy said at the beginning, there's going to be a link for the checklist. So I encourage everyone to have a look at that. But that's it for Fast Fix Monday. We look forward to speaking again on Wednesday. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.